The dinner table was set, and Emma felt her chest tighten as silence thickened. Emma said, "Why does the air feel heavy tonight?" She tried to steady her breath, but the weight of uncertainty lingered. Ethan shifted in his chair, avoiding her eyes. Ethan said, "It's just the wine, don't overthink it." His voice cracked slightly, betraying a nervous edge. Liam leaned back casually, but his gaze pierced Ethan with quiet fury. Liam said, "Sometimes secrets are like shadows, Ethan. They follow you no matter how you try to escape them." Emma's stomach churned as she looked between them, her heart pounding faster. Emma said, "What shadows are you talking about, Liam?" The candlelight flickered, painting the walls with trembling shapes. Ethan gripped his fork too tightly, his knuckles whitening as sweat formed on his forehead. Ethan said, "Stop it, Liam, don't start." The room felt smaller, like walls closing in around Emma. Emma whispered, "Someone tell me the truth." Silence roared louder than words, echoing betrayal she wasn't ready to face. Emma sat frozen, her mind replaying Liam's words like thunder. Emma thought, "Why does my heart feel like it's breaking before I know the truth?" Ethan tried to force a smile, his lips barely curving. Ethan said, "Liam likes to dramatize things." His voice was thin, unconvincing. Liam leaned in, eyes flashing. Liam said, "Don't pretend, Ethan, I'm not the liar here." Emma's heart pounded so loudly, it drowned the clinking of silverware. She pressed her hands against the table to steady herself. Emma said, "Please, no games. I can't stand riddles tonight." Ethan sighed heavily, brushing his hand across his forehead, his charm cracking like shattered glass. Liam said, "She deserves to know." Emma's chest tightened, fear mixing with anger. Emma whispered, "Tell me now before I lose what's left of me." The silence grew unbearable, and the truth sat between them like a ghost waiting to speak. Emma's grip tightened on her wineglass as Ethan shifted uncomfortably. Emma said, "You're hiding something, Ethan." Ethan looked at her, eyes darting, words trapped behind clenched teeth. Ethan said, "You don't know what you're asking." Liam slammed his hand against the table, startling Emma. Liam said, "She has every right to know, Ethan." The sound echoed like a crack through her heart. Emma's chest heaved as fear and rage mingled. Emma said, "You promised me honesty, Ethan. Why do I feel like you're breaking me all over again?" Ethan's lips trembled as he tried to speak but failed. His silence was louder than any confession. Liam stared, shaking his head, his voice softer now. Liam said, "Emma, you deserve the truth." The tension wrapped around the table like chains pulling everyone down. Emma's head lowered, her voice trembling as she fought to hold herself together. Emma whispered, "Is it me? Did I not give enough?" Ethan shook his head quickly, guilt seeping through his eyes. Ethan said, "No, Emma, it's not you." His words felt like ashes. Liam leaned closer, speaking firmly. Liam said, "Don't twist this, Ethan. She deserves better than your silence." Emma looked up, tears threatening. Emma said, "Then why does it feel like my whole world is crumbling?" Ethan rubbed his temples, struggling to hold himself steady. Ethan said, "Because I made a mistake." The word mistake sliced through Emma like glass. Liam clenched his fists, jaw hardening as truth crept closer. The dinner table no longer felt like a place of family, but a battlefield of betrayal. Emma's breath came uneven, every second dragging like eternity. Emma said, "A mistake?" Her voice cracked under the weight. Ethan's hands shook as he finally met her eyes. Ethan said, "I never meant for it to happen." Liam's voice cut sharply, his anger barely restrained. Liam said, "You betrayed her, Ethan. Stop dressing it up as an accident." Emma's tears spilled, her heart collapsing under the truth she dreaded. Emma cried, "Why would you do this to me?" Ethan's eyes shimmered with shame, his words faltering. Ethan said, "I was weak, and I thought I could hide it." Liam slammed the table again, his rage filling the room. Liam said, "Hiding only makes the wound deeper." The truth hung between them, undeniable, and Emma felt the ground vanish beneath her. Emma sat on her bed, her chest aching as tears blurred her vision. Emma whispered, "How could love turn into such pain?" The silence of her room felt heavier than words. The soft hum of the city outside mocked her loneliness. She clutched a photo frame of happier times, Ethan's smile now cutting her like a blade. Emma said, "Did I ever really know you?" The reflection in the glass showed a woman she barely recognized. Her hands trembled as the weight of betrayal pressed into her bones. The world she built around Ethan crumbled, brick by fragile brick. She longed for peace, but found only shadows clinging to her heart. Emma whispered again, "I don't know if I can forgive or even survive this." The air in the room grew colder, every memory replaying like a cruel film. The next morning, Emma stared into the bathroom mirror, searching for strength. Emma said, "You have to stand, even if your heart is broken." Her face was pale, her eyes swollen, but there was a spark hidden beneath the grief. She splashed cold water on her cheeks, the sting reminding her she was alive. The memory of Ethan's words still haunted her, but she refused to let it define her. Emma whispered, "I won't let this destroy me." She tied her hair back with shaking hands, determined to face the day. The mirror reflected someone fragile yet fierce, a woman fighting for her own soul. Every breath she took was an act of survival, a step toward reclaiming herself. Emma walked into a quiet cafe later that day, her eyes scanning for comfort. Liam waved her over, his expression a mixture of guilt and resolve. Liam said, "I didn't want to hurt you, but you deserve the truth." Emma's lips trembled, but she nodded slowly. Emma said, "I would have lived in lies forever if you hadn't spoken." Liam leaned forward, his voice gentle but steady. Liam said, "I couldn't watch you be broken by secrets." Emma's eyes softened, tears threatening but hope flickering faintly. Emma whispered, "You've always been the one to protect me." The air between them pulsed with unspoken truths, as if both carried wounds deeper than words. Liam's voice dropped lower, carrying the weight of confession. Liam said, "Ethan wasn't alone in this, Emma. There was someone else." Emma's body stiffened, her breath catching in her throat. Emma whispered, "Who?" Liam clenched his jaw, reluctant but unwilling to lie. Liam said, "Her name is Ava." Emma's heart slammed against her chest, the name burning into her like fire. Emma said, "Ava. She was around us. She smiled at me like nothing was wrong." Anger mixed with betrayal, her hands curling into fists. Emma cried, "She looked me in the eye while she was stealing my life." Liam placed a steady hand on hers. Liam said, "Don't blame yourself. This is on them." Emma's fury simmered, her sorrow transforming into strength. That night, Emma walked alone through the quiet park, her thoughts echoing in every shadow. Emma whispered, "Ava, the name itself feels poisonous." The wind tugged at her sweater, the trees swayed like ghosts. Her chest ached with rage, but beneath it burned a spark of resolve. Emma said, "I won't be their victim anymore." The betrayal had scarred her, but it would not end her. Her eyes lifted to the night sky, the stars dim but steady. Emma whispered, "I will find my strength in this darkness." Each step forward felt heavy but necessary, a march toward reclaiming herself. The cold air carried her tears away, leaving behind only determination. Emma sat in her living room, staring at the unopened text on her phone from Ethan. Her hands shook as the screen glowed in the dim light. Emma whispered, "Why does he still reach out when he knows he destroyed me?" She wanted to throw the phone away but couldn't. Her heart still recognized his number, even as her soul recoiled from it. She gritted her teeth, pain etched across her face. Emma said, "I should delete this. I should delete him." But her finger hovered, betraying her. A knock at the door startled her. Liam stood there with a cautious smile, carrying 2 cups of coffee. Liam said, "I thought you might need a friend more than silence." Emma's voice cracked as she whispered, "I don't deserve this kindness." Liam shook his head, his tone steady. Liam said, "You deserve the truth, and you deserve care." Emma let him inside, the glow of hope barely flickering against the weight of her grief. Emma sat across from Liam, the untouched coffee warming her palms. Emma said, "Every time I think I can breathe, Ethan finds a way back in." Liam leaned forward, his eyes sharp with anger but soft with compassion. Liam said, "He doesn't get to control your healing." Emma's eyes shimmered, torn between loyalty and fury. Emma whispered, "But I loved him. I gave him everything." Liam's voice deepened, steady as stone. Liam said, "And he gave you betrayal in return." Silence hung thick as Emma stared at the cup, her reflection rippling in the dark liquid. Emma said, "I don't know who I am without the pain." Liam reached out, his hand brushing hers gently. Liam said, "You're more than his shadow." Her heart trembled, her pain wrestling with the comfort his words offered. Later that night, Emma walked alone to clear her head, the city lights blurring through her tears. She whispered, "I gave my heart to a liar." The streets echoed with her footsteps, each one heavier than the last. She turned a corner and froze. Across the street stood Ava, laughing with friends, her confidence radiant. Emma's stomach twisted, her fists clenched. Emma thought, "How can she smile while I drown?" Their eyes met briefly, Ava's smirk curling like a knife. Ava said, "You look tired, Emma." The cruelty in her tone sliced the silence. Emma's voice shook but burned with fury. Emma said, "You took what was mine and wore it like a prize." Ava tilted her head, amused, unfazed. Ava said, "Maybe it was never yours to keep." Emma's chest heaved, the confrontation carving fresh wounds into scars still healing. Emma's voice rose, trembling but fierce. Emma said, "You ruined me, Ava, and you don't even care." Ava's laugh was sharp, dripping with arrogance. Ava said, "Ethan came to me. Maybe you should ask why he needed someone else." Emma's breath caught like glass in her lungs, her rage boiling. Emma cried, "Don't twist this. You knew exactly what you were doing." Ava's smirk faltered for a moment, her eyes narrowing. Ava said, "Maybe I was just better at giving him what he wanted." Emma's tears fell hot, but her voice grew stronger. Emma said, "No, you were just better at taking what didn't belong to you." The street light above flickered as if echoing her fury. Ava turned away with a shrug, dismissive, but Emma stood taller, her pain hardening into defiance. Emma stormed back into her apartment, her chest heaving. She whispered, "She won't break me." Her reflection in the mirror stared back, stronger than before. She wiped her tears, her hands steady now. Emma said, "I'm done being the victim." Her voice carried weight she hadn't felt before. She paced the room, every step louder than her doubt. The photo frame of Ethan still sat on her dresser, mocking her with memories. Emma grabbed it, staring at his smile one last time. Emma whispered, "You're not my story anymore." With a sharp breath, she dropped the frame into the trash, glass shattering like chains breaking. The sound echoed through the room, a declaration of war against her past. Emma sat at the cafe again, her hands clasped tightly, her heart trembling with the weight of what she had learned. Liam sat across from her, his eyes dark with guilt. Emma whispered, "There's more you're not telling me, isn't there?" Liam swallowed hard, his silence louder than words. Liam said, "Emma, Ethan's betrayal wasn't just an affair. There's something deeper." Emma leaned forward, her breath shallow. Emma said, "What could be worse than what he's already done?" Liam's hands shook as he tapped nervously against the table. Liam said, "It's not just Ava. Ethan has been lying about where he's been, about his life." Emma's pulse raced, dread clawing at her chest. Emma cried, "Then tell me the truth before it kills me." Liam looked at her, torn between loyalty and the risk of destroying her completely. Liam lowered his gaze, his words coming out slow and heavy. Liam said, "Ethan's not who you think he is. He's been lying about his work, his money, everything." Emma's mouth went dry, her world spinning. Emma whispered, "What are you saying, Liam?" His eyes lifted to hers, full of pity. Liam said, "He's been living a double life, Emma. You were part of only half of it." Her chest caved in, the truth slamming into her like a storm. Emma cried, "So all those late nights, all those excuses, were lies?" Liam nodded, regret carving lines in his face. Liam said, I wanted to tell you sooner, but I knew it would break you. Emma's hands shook violently as her tears splashed on the table. Emma whispered, It already has. Later that night, Emma sat alone in her bedroom, her phone buzzing with messages from Ethan. She ignored them, staring at the broken photo frame on her dresser. Emma whispered, A double life. Who are you, Ethan? The air in the room felt suffocating, pressing down on her chest. Her heart ached, torn between rage and longing. She picked up her phone, her finger hovering over his name. Emma said, I want answers, even if it kills me. She pressed call, and the line rang. Ethan answered with a voice dripping with false calm. Ethan said, Emma, let me explain. Her rage broke through her tears. Emma said, Explain how you lied about everything. Explain Ava? Explain us? His silence was damning, and every second hollowed her out further. Ethan's voice cracked over the line, guilt dripping from every word. Ethan said, I didn't want you to see this side of me. I was weak, and I tried to hide it. Emma's tears fell harder, her voice sharp. Emma cried, You let me believe in a love that was fake. Ethan pleaded desperately. Ethan said, It wasn't fake. I loved you, but I was drowning in my own lies. Emma gritted her teeth, rage blazing. Emma said, You don't get to excuse betrayal with weakness. Ethan's silence lingered, broken only by a faint sigh. Ethan said, I wanted to protect you from who I really am. Emma's voice grew cold, steady with fury. Emma said, You protected yourself, not me. And you destroyed us in the process. Emma ended the call abruptly, her chest heaving with rage and despair. She hurled the phone onto the bed, her body shaking. Emma whispered, I can't live in his lies anymore. She walked to the window, staring out at the city lights, each one blurring through her tears. Emma said, He broke me, but he won't define me. Behind her, the broken photo lay in silence, a reminder of what had died. She pressed her forehead to the glass, her breath fogging it, as if trying to erase the past with every exhale. Emma whispered, Tomorrow, I begin again, without him, without the lies. For the first time, her words felt like a vow, not a plea. The dining room buzzed faintly with chatter, but Emma felt her body stiffen as Ethan entered, his presence heavy. Emma whispered, Why do I feel like I'm standing at the edge of a cliff? Ethan avoided her eyes, sliding into his chair, his smile strained. Liam sat across, his jaw set, his gaze fixed on Ethan. Liam said, Tonight, no more lies. The table grew silent, the air vibrating with unspoken tension. Emma's mother's laughter faltered, sensing the weight pressing down. Ethan said, This isn't the time, Liam. Liam leaned forward, his voice sharp. Liam said, Truth doesn't wait for the right time. Emma's chest tightened, her heart hammering, knowing the moment she feared was near. The clinking of silverware halted as Liam's voice cut through. Liam said, Ethan, tell her the truth before I do. Ethan's face paled, his fork slipping from his hand with a metallic clang. Emma's stomach dropped, her breath shallow. Emma said, What truth? Ethan muttered, his voice low. Ethan said, This isn't the place. Liam slammed his hand on the table, dishes rattling. Liam shouted, This is exactly the place. The room fell into stunned silence, every eye fixed on Ethan. Emma's voice cracked as she begged. Emma said, Please, stop circling, just tell me what you've done. Ethan's lips parted, his eyes glassy with guilt. Ethan said, I was with Ava, Emma. It wasn't just once, it was months. Gasps circled the table, Emma's heart shattering as the words echoed. Emma whispered, Months. Her voice cracked like breaking glass. Liam's voice cut sharp. Liam said, You let her believe in you while living a lie. Ethan's eyes filled with tears, his hands trembling. Ethan said, I never wanted to hurt you, Emma. I thought I could fix it, hide it. Emma's tears streamed, her body shaking as rage and grief collided. Emma cried, You broke me, and smiled in my face. The room pulsed with suffocating silence. Emma rose suddenly, her chair screeching against the floor. Emma shouted, "How could you do this to me? To us?" Ethan stood too, desperation dripping from his every word. Ethan said, "I loved you, Emma, I still do." She shook her head violently, her tears glistening in the chandelier light. Emma cried, "Love doesn't betray, Ethan." Liam's voice thundered, his anger boiling over. Liam said, "You don't deserve her forgiveness." Ethan's fists clenched, his pride warring with his shame. Ethan said, "Stay out of this, Liam." Emma's knees trembled as she fought to stay standing, her heart split open before everyone she loved. Emma's sobs quieted, her voice trembling but resolute. Emma said, "You don't get to define me anymore." Ethan's eyes widened, desperation flaring. Ethan said, "Please, don't leave me." Emma's voice steadied, sharp as a blade. Emma said, "You already left when you chose her." Silence swallowed the room as the weight of her words sank deep. Liam placed a steadying hand on her shoulder, his voice low. Liam said, "You're stronger than this moment." Emma drew a shuddering breath, her body still shaking but her spirit unbroken. She turned away, her tears falling like final goodbyes. Emma sat alone in her bedroom after the dinner, the echo of Ethan's confession still haunting her ears. Her face was pale, her body trembling with exhaustion. Emma whispered, "How did love turn into this nightmare?" The silence in her apartment pressed down on her chest. She picked up her blanket, wrapping herself tightly, as if it could shield her from the ache in her heart. Emma said, "I gave him everything, and he gave me nothing but scars." Her tears stained the fabric, but her voice grew sharper. Emma whispered, "I won't let his betrayal define me." The broken photo frame on her dresser glistened under the lamplight, a cruel reminder of shattered trust. Emma turned her head away, her eyes hardening, her grief shifting into determination. The next morning, Emma stepped outside into the crisp air, her chest heavy but her steps steady. Liam was waiting near her door, his expression soft, carrying 2 coffees. Liam said, "You didn't deserve what happened last night." Emma looked at him, her eyes tired but grateful. Emma said, "Thank you for standing up when I couldn't." He handed her the coffee gently. Liam said, "I'll always protect you, even when it hurts." She swallowed hard, her throat thick with unspoken gratitude. Emma whispered, "You've been my anchor, Liam." For the first time her lips curved into the faintest smile, a fragile but real spark of hope. Later that day, Ethan stood outside Emma's building, his shoulders hunched, his eyes pleading. Ethan said, "Emma, please, just give me one chance to explain." Emma froze, her chest tightening at the sight of him. She whispered, "You've explained enough." Ethan's voice cracked with desperation. Ethan said, "I made mistakes, but I still love you." Emma shook her head slowly, her voice steady despite her tears. Emma said, "Love doesn't betray. You chose Ava. You chose lies." Ethan stepped closer, his hands shaking. Ethan said, "Don't throw us away." Emma took a step back, her chin lifting with quiet strength. Emma said, "You threw us away the moment you lied." The weight of her words left him speechless. Emma turned and walked away, her footsteps echoing like finality. Ethan's voice broke behind her. Ethan said, "Please, don't let this be the end." But Emma didn't stop. She whispered to herself, "It already ended the moment you betrayed me." She reached the park, her breath sharp, her tears fresh but cleansing. Sitting on a bench, she let the wind wash over her, cold but honest. Liam arrived quietly, sitting beside her, his presence grounding. Liam said, "You did what was right, Emma." She looked at him, her lips trembling into a faint smile. Emma whispered, "For the first time I feel free." That night, Emma stood at her window, gazing at the city lights. She whispered, "I thought I'd be broken forever, but I'm still standing." Her reflection looked back at her, stronger than before. She pressed her palm against the glass, her breath steady. Emma said, "This is my new beginning." Behind her, Liam's text lit up her phone, "You're not alone in this." Emma smiled faintly, a warmth filling her chest. She whispered, Maybe love isn't gone, maybe it just needs a new name. The city below pulsed with possibility, her story no longer trapped in betrayal, but moving toward healing. Emma sat in her favorite cafe corner, the same place where Liam once revealed the truth. The air carried warmth now, not dread. She stirred her coffee slowly, her heart lighter. Emma whispered, "Pain isn't the end, it's the teacher." Liam entered, his smile steady, carrying the calm she had long craved. Liam said, "You look different, stronger." Emma's lips curved faintly. Emma said, "I feel different. I feel like I'm finally free." He sat across from her, his eyes soft, his silence full of understanding. For the first time, she wasn't drowning, she was floating, breathing, alive again. Across town, Ethan sat alone in his apartment, the silence crushing. Empty bottles littered the table as he stared at his phone, unanswered messages glaring back. Ethan whispered, "She was my world, and I destroyed it." His reflection in the dark window showed a man broken, hollow. He buried his face in his hands, his pride gone, his charm meaningless. Ethan said, "I lost her forever." His voice cracked, echoing through the lonely room. For the first time he faced the truth, not Emma's failure, but his own ruin. In the park the next morning, Emma walked slowly along the path, the autumn leaves crunching under her shoes. She closed her eyes, letting the cool breeze kiss her cheeks. Emma whispered, "This is what freedom feels like." Liam walked beside her, not pressing, simply being there. Liam said, "Sometimes healing isn't about forgetting, but about choosing what comes next." Emma smiled softly, her heart steady. Emma said, "Then I choose me." The path stretched ahead, lined with golden leaves full of promise. That evening, Emma sat on her balcony, the city glowing beneath her. She held a notebook on her lap, words spilling like therapy. Emma wrote, "I am not defined by betrayal, but by resilience." Her tears were no longer heavy with despair, but light with release. She closed the notebook, pressing it to her chest. Emma whispered, "This is my story now." The night sky stretched endlessly, the stars faint but present, like hope that refuses to die. The next day, Emma stood in front of a mirror, her reflection no longer foreign but familiar. She touched her face gently, her lips curving into a steady smile. Emma whispered, "I survived." Behind her, the broken photo frame was gone, replaced by fresh flowers in a vase. The scent filled the room with renewal. She stepped back, her eyes glowing with strength. Emma said, "The past is closed, but the future is mine to write." With a deep breath she turned away from the mirror and walked forward, each step echoing with resilience.